Cerys Bradley!
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm very sick.
Don't get it on the mic.
I make no promises. Okay, so for this, I was going to talk about the history of statistics, but everyone that I told that I was going to talk about that said that it sounded really boring. But luckily for you guys, at the end of September, I attempted a half marathon, and it went spectacularly wrong. So I thought I would talk about that instead. And I promise this is not a humble brag. Like, I genuinely fucked it up and put myself in hospital for 5 days. And I feel very stupid. So what I thought I would do is I would explain to you guys with 5 handy tips. If any of you wanted like a run, fat boy run-esque finish to a large amount of exercise, then explaining with science, I've got some explanations on how to do that. So this is the Ealing Half Marathon, which you might not be able to see. It's all of the red, which is actually quite a long way. It's 13.1 miles. A surprising amount of hills, which you wouldn't expect because Ealing is technically in London. As I discovered, Ealing Hospital, really, really far from anything. But anyway, so yeah, this went very badly for me. So tip number 1, I recommend that you get your training tips from this guy. This is my dad. You can tell we have the same cheeks. And he gave me my training plan, which was my first mistake. He said, if you can run 8 miles, then you can run 13 miles. There is no scientific basis for this. The theory is that you should have enough adrenaline after 8 miles because it's like race day and everyone's all excited. And also you like have discovered a vicious hatred for the guy in the Smurf suit. He keeps running past you. That you should be able to run the last 5 miles. But we will discover quite how long 5 miles is in a little bit and why that didn't work out. Tip number 2. Don't eat breakfast. Now, this one seems pretty obvious, right? If you're really hoping to fuck up a half marathon, then obviously you would give yourself no energy reserves on which to do the run. And when I was doing my training, I didn't used to eat any breakfast before I went for my runs in the morning because eating food used to give me a stitch. And I recently discovered that there's no actual scientific explanation for what a stitch is, which makes this the most scientific part of the presentation, because all of the scientists in the room know that the most scientific answer to any question is, I don't know. But we don't know what causes it, but the most popular theory at the moment is that what happens is that I asked my doctor friend to teach me how to pronounce the words, but I'm going to get them wrong.
I'll shout them for you.
Okay. Parietal peritoneum. Yes, excellent. So that's a membrane in your stomach. I'm a computer scientist. I don't know. It's all squishy. It's just all squishy. That's all I know. So this membrane rubs against the membrane that holds all your organs in, which is called the visceral peritoneum. That was right? Yep. And if you've eaten a lot of food and you've got a distended stomach, that increases the chances that they'd rub together and they'd hurt. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't eat anything. In fact, you should probably eat about 800 calories before you try a half marathon. I ate a peach. Or, as I told the paramedics, I ate a nectarine, and then I realised that I'd gotten it wrong because I was so disorientated, but I was too embarrassed to tell them. I figured it probably wouldn't be medically relevant. Anyway. So you should eat something. You really should eat something. Just don't, just eat something between a peach and like a 3-course roast dinner. Anyway, tip number 3, also fucking obvious. So I didn't drink any water from about mile 7 to about mile 12, which, as some of you may have made the connection, is 5 miles. This is where my adrenaline was supposed to be kicking in. So it turns out that if you are doing a large amount of exercise and you're sweating quite a lot and you're depleting your water sources, then you become dehydrated. And when you're dehydrated, this is science, guys. When you're dehydrated, what happens is your blood thickens, which puts a lot of strain on your cardiovascular system, and it also shrinks away from the surface of your skin, which means that your body is less efficient at dissipating heat. So you're doing all of this exercise, you're generating lots of heat, but you've lost the two main mechanisms your body has for getting rid of that heat, which can lead to things like heart failure, collapsing, and lots of horrible things like that. All of this, like raised body temperature. All of these problems will reappear in the story later. Tip number 4. So when you collapse, as I did at 12 miles, get up, walk about half a mile, and then attempt to sprint finish. My sprint finish lasted approximately 8 seconds. And I staggered the remaining quarter of a mile or so before I collapsed on the finish line. Like, literally collapsed and physically had to roll myself over the finish line. So what do you get if you do a half marathon using the patented Cerys Bradley system? You get a rectal thermometer and ice in your crotch. So when I finished, I went to the paramedics' tent and my body temperature was 39 degrees, which is not funny. It's quite serious, and they couldn't cool me down, so I had to go to hospital. And when I arrived at hospital, they took a blood test and they measured something called creatine something. Pardon? Kinase, right, which are, it's a type of enzyme in your blood. And basically what happens is when you do an extreme amount of exercise and your body needs energy reserves, these phosphocreatines in your muscles break down to give your body energy. And it's a really good measure when they go into your bloodstream for things like muscle breakdown, potential heart problems, that kind of stuff. Now, normal people have about 60 to 70 like medical units of these CK levels in their blood. When I entered hospital, they were at 4,000. After my second blood test, they got up to 7,000, which was the point where they decided that I was going to be kept in hospital. I was kept in hospital overnight with lots of IV drips, which was a pain in the ass because I had one in each arm, which meant I just couldn't pee. But they were just putting lots of water in my system, so I really needed to pee. But anyway, so the next day they'd gone up to 11,000, which is when the doctors were like, maybe we'll do some tests on your heart, but don't worry, we don't think you had a heart attack, which was the first time that I realised maybe I could have had a heart attack. So that's the enzyme. So what happened was they gave me an echocardiogram, which was very exciting because echocardiograms and ultrasounds were the most exciting thing that I did at A-level physics. And I think they're really cool. The way that they work is you take a special crystal called a piezoelectric crystal, which are just amazing pieces of nature. And they have a special property, which is if you take an electrical current and you pass it through the crystal emits ultrasound waves. But if you fire ultrasound waves at the crystal and it absorbs those waves, it emits electrical currents. So the way that the echocardiogram works is that you have one of these crystals and it emits its ultrasound waves, and then by changing the frequency of those waves and the angle, they enter the body, they're reflected back from the heart, they go back into the crystal, they emit electrical pulses, and they can create an image of your heart on the screen. And what they found was that the top two changes of my heart were actually enlarged. And they're not entirely sure why. There are currently 3 theories which we're scientifically evaluating, which means I get to have an MRI scan. Very cool. So either the training that I did, upon the recommendation of my father, fucked up my heart, or the race that I did fucked up my heart, or I have some kind of heart condition which has led to this. My personal theory is that I recently discovered the true meaning of Christmas.